All right. Hello, welcome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world today. My name is Miriam. I am really excited for our conversation today with Emil Jimenez. Emil is a founder, international, American born, but also um, marketing expert and founder of Mind Bank AI. He's on a mission to move humanity forward to our next evolutionary step because the next personal computer is you. Since 2020, Emil has been out on a. I'm getting some things. I guess I'm having some issues with my audio. I'm getting some pings. Please let me know. Okay, wait. Let me just fix the audio here. Sorry, Emil. There's lots of tech things going on here. Let's see. Share this tab. Live interview, share tab audio, share. All right, testing. Can you hear me? How's that audio for you guys? Emil, do you want to say something too? They're saying that your audio is not.
I didn't say anything yet, so can everyone hear me?
Streaming through.
I'm hearing myself.
Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you, Miriam. Yeah, I hear you perfectly.
Your audio is not.
I didn't say anything yet, so can everyone hear me?
Can you hear me? Okay, sounds good. Seems like they can hear me okay now. So that's good.
And is there a thumbs up for me as well?
I think so.
We'll have to, here.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't see any comments coming in on the YouTube live, but yes, better now. I don't see any comments coming in on the YouTube live, but yes, better now. Okay. Let me see here. How do I mute this part? Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Welcome back. My name is Miriam. I'm chatting today with the founder of Mind Bank AI. It's a platform that solves humanity's personal development and aging challenge by creating personal digital twin of your knowledge using a very simple chat interface and structured learning algorithms. The digital twin asks you questions, and while it's doing that, it's learning about you and giving you valuable insights into your personality. And the ability of this data is basically living on forever. I'm excited to chat with Emil about what he's been working on. How are you doing, Emil?
I'm good. I'm a little nervous. It's like we're about a week away from launch, so we have the beta up, and people are testing it, and then hopefully some of the people on this show will test it as well, give us some feedback. It's like seeing your little baby, go off to college or something. It's like more like elementary school rather. Every parent sheds a tear the first day of kindergarten, I think.
Totally. Well, I'm glad that I found you to talk with you at this time. It seems very like an exciting moment right before you're about to go live, and I really appreciate you giving me the access to your beta version.
Yeah, and I hope you use it. You're starting to build your AI digital twin. You'll live forever. Keep going.
I know. Well, we're going to dive into it because I have a ton of questions, obviously.
Sure.
First off, how do you identify do you consider yourself an entrepreneur? Are you a creator? Are you a founder? Would you say you're an artist of sorts?
All of the above. I think it depends on what age. I think if I was asked a similar question. I think I guess at the core, right? I'm a creator and a humanist, right? I enjoy. There's a lot of things in my brain that I need to get out. One of which could sometimes it's music. right? I play the piano and I just jam sometimes. I never studied music, but I sang choir when I was a kid, and I know a bit of music, so I just sit down and play. I taught myself how to play the piano. If it's painting, I studied art direction. That was my master's in communications and art direction. My BA, was psychology because I thought I'd become a brain surgeon, or so I started in psychology, and that was kind of my first passion. So it really depends on. I just follow my passion, really, whatever that is, and it just ends up being at this particular point in time, it's this application, you know.
Yeah. Love that. I was looking at some of your past history and projects. You opened Passion Communications, which I love. I'm also very passion driven, like my time to be spent on things I'm working on that I'm passionate about. So that seems really cool. You won a lot of awards for that, and this new concept that you're working on, it seems very transformational. This digital platform that's going to allow humanity to go really beyond their limits and live forever through data. It started off, you know, why don't you tell a little bit of how kind of this started off, because I feel like
Yeah,
it's a nice story there.
it's a beautiful story, and I have and there's a twist to the story. Like every story, there's a pretty interesting twist. I'll get to it in a second. So January 17th, 2020. So almost 2 years ago to the day, I was on a train with my daughter and my girlfriend, and she's 4 years old at this time, and she's playing with her iPad, and Siri pops up for the first time. And she asked me, Daddy, what is this? Or more like, Papi, ¿qué es esto, papi? More like Spanish, you know? And I said, and I said, okay, this is a good opportunity for my little girl to practice English because I speak Spanish to her all her life. But obviously, she's going to get into school, so let's pick up some English now. I said, honey, this is Siri. She's like a friend. Say hi, Siri, and ask her a question. So my
Yeah.
little girl thinks for a second, and she's, and the first thing out of her brilliant little mind was, hi, Siri, do you have a mommy?
Oh.
And mind you, like we're sitting on the train, and all of a sudden everyone like puts on their newspaper and looks over, stops looking at their phones and seeing this dialogue between a 4-year-old and Siri. And she continues to ask it questions like, "Do you have toys? I want to see your toys and stuff like this." And it was really funny in dialogue.
So
And
funny.
she's laughing, and about 10 minutes later, she says, "Siri, I love you. You're my best friend." So let's take a step back, and I mentioned how I studied psychology, right? And I said, okay, my child went, this is where the psychology hat kicked in. I said, my little girl went from having a transactional relationship, show me your toys, do you have a mommy, right, to an emotional relationship. I love you, you're my best friend. And that's a crucial cognitive and psychological step there, right, in the brain for a person, right, to change the linguistics, to change the way they speak about something. So I said, okay, you know what? I started just thinking about her life. What is her life going to be like when she's my age? Let's fast forward 38 years. I'm 42, and so much has changed in our lifetime, right? That you're just like
Yeah.
let's try it like this. Let's think in 40 years terms. Like, what's the world going to look like 40 years from now? And then I started looking at the convergence of technology and all these things, and I said, wait a second. Siri is just an interface to a database, right? And I asked myself, how can I be that database? How can I upload my mind so that my little girl can always ask daddy a question, even if I'm not alive? Right. So then I just started looking at their interaction, and I said, okay, let me just start uploading. Let me find a way to upload my story. And how do you meet people? Hey, where are you from? What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
And then as you build a relationship with someone, you build a knowledge graph of that person, right? What they do, where they go, who they like, what movies they, stories from their childhood, their favorite foods. All of these things are data points, right? That you, in communication with someone, you learn about that person. Well, literally, the platform's like mimicking that interaction and storing the data, indexing that data, and then ultimately, we want to put it into a perspective of like, can it know your entire life story? So that the day that you pass away, your life still lives on, right? At least your story. And then this data is inherited by your family, right? That's why we say, it's called a mind bank. It's a bank for your thoughts and your story.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about what is the value of that data, right? One thing is kind of like, I to me, it's a little bit like, going to the gym and you want to get a six pack. everyone starts with that dream of getting a six pack for the gym, the beach bod. But what keeps you coming back are those little improvements, right? The little gains. You know, feel better. You look a little bit better. And in the mental state, that's really, mental health, right? In the mental state, it's really about understanding who you are, right? That self-reflection and like personal growth story. And
So
what this
powerful.
platform does is that it analyzes all of these answers, or as you upload answers to it, it analyzes what you say, like a psychologist would analyze a journal, let's say. And it says, this is your sentiment on these topics. This is what's occupying your mind right now. This is the words that you're using at this particular moment. And we have a lot more data that we're not even showing on the platform yet. We're kind of releasing some features as we develop and stuff like that. But it's really mind blowing actually what we can show you.
I bet.
So right now we're just in the baby step. We're taking the first baby step into it, right?
Amazing. Yeah, I've started to play around with it, and it's really fun to use so far. The questions are definitely very deep and personal, and you guys are just not shying away from that, but it makes sense if you're creating a digital twin of yourself to be asked those questions. Um, so we'll jump into, I want to show people the website so that they can visit that and get in the loop with everything. But I have a lot of founders and entrepreneurs that watch my stream or will watch it in the future. And you are a very seasoned professional, have been working on pursuing your passions full time for a while. And so I just kind of wanted to get some thoughts from you around lessons you've learned. What are some of the challenges that you face each time that you start a business, and how do you go about like overcoming those things?
Well, I guess the first business I started I was 29, right? And that's when I opened Passion Communications. And it comes down to, following your passion. That's simple. I think at least that's why I called it Passion Communications, because I said, I want to work on things that I want to work on. I was a art director, senior art director for a region in Europe, and you get to a point where you're just like, in my case, I was like, I want to make a move and do something interesting. So I could either make a lateral move to another company, or at 29, I was like, I read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it said it's best to open the company before you're 30, because if you go bankrupt, you have time to make it up. I was 29, I was 29, no mortgage, no kids. I was like, I have a few bucks in my pocket. And I was like, I could basically do nothing for 6 months and be okay, right? And I said, and then I applied to an MBA program and didn't get accepted because I was too young. And that's the one that I actually finished a few years back, okay, about a year and a half ago. But anyways, I said, what, let me just open a company and see what happens. And it was one of those, reading the signs of the universe, right? Like I opened it up, and like in the same week, I got like a client that I made more money with that client in a week that I did in 2 months at a job. And then
Nice.
it was like then another one, and then little projects here, and then I got a retainer client managing a global beer company that ended up it's under Molson Coors, the Coors company, right? So we were managing a global client at like 30, right? Global agency of record at like about 30. I think I won that when I was 30 or 31. I can't remember, something like that. And then you build, and then you have challenges and the ups and downs. You lose a client, you win a client, but really the passion never left, right? It's what did I want to do? I wanted to make great work where
Yeah.
I control the storyline, and I'm pushing it forward with the client. And also, I really started this with the idea of building something for my kids to have.
Hmm.
Right? I didn't even have kids at the time, right? But I was like, you know what? I wish my parents had left me a business empire that I can either choose to run or choose not to, right? But at least I have something, you know what I mean? In my case, I'm the only gringo in the house, right? The only American born, right? Both my mom ended up in the States when she was 21, no
Wow.
English,
Yeah.
two small kids. My brothers were 5 and 3 or something like that when she landed in the States. Pretty much political asylum, pretty much, right? And then 10 years later, I'm born, right? And then you see, okay, they started with nothing, right? And I take it like almost my responsibility to give the next generation something, right? A launching pad of sorts, right?
Yeah. It's a lot
And
of
and that's kind
pressure.
of how. No, I don't think it's pressure. I think it's at least for me, it's not pressure. It's fun, really. It's it's in your nature. I tried, I couldn't work for someone else. It'd be really difficult. Let's put it this way. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the challenges that you face when you open up a business? Maybe something that you had
Uh,
experienced with Mindbank and also with Passion, and how do you overcome them, or any tips for entrepreneurs out there that are thinking about starting a business?
I say with I always say just start opening it up, and you're probably gonna fail the first 3 4 times, but don't be discouraged because every single time you learn something, right? It's not the first startup I've built, and it's not the and probably not going to be the last, but well, hopefully it's the last. But it's the with passion. The one thing I knew that the product is me. I know who I am. I know I can sell me. Right. As a creative person. I know I can sell that. And then the challenge was how do I scale that? Right. That's the biggest challenge. With Mindbank, I started with a vision of okay, how do I build this for my daughter? Right.
Hmm.
So that and if you have a vision of like 50 years, the challenges are going to come and go. Right. But always have that long term vision. And these challenges become trivial at that point.
Hmm.
The key is to make sure you have the fundamentals, right? Make sure you have cash. Make sure you have your livelihood, right? That it's no one. You can't be a starving founder because you're not going to live well, right? So make sure that's the key, and stay lean as long as possible. And and one thing that's changed in this particular case, which is something I learned with an MBA and with time, is that people look at cash and things like that, but also look at a balance sheet.
Okay.
Learn some business balance. Literally, look, because people like you have a good balance sheet. Banks like you, and investors like you, because they say, okay, there's something tangible, right, that I can hold
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
to. And yeah, and constantly, be open. Be humble. That's another one. You don't know everything. And hire people that know much more than you do.
Yeah.
They're going to be better at you at whatever that is. And then but always keep a long term vision. Have a 50-year plan, and then work your way back. That would be the best advice I would give for any challenge.
Great advice. Thank you so much. So let's dive in a little bit more to creating this digital twin. You guys have been testing. You're very in beta right now, but any stories of things that have happened noticeable with people's digital twins that they've created?
Um, no, because we launched it recently, and I think what's really happening though, what's interesting though, is what the feedback that we're getting is that there's a lot of intrinsic value to it. Meaning, like just by talking about my past or talking about your story, you kind of like relive it a little bit. And I had one tester tell me, you know what, it's really cool because I feel like I'm building something that will last forever, right? And that was an interesting feedback. And obviously, there's other feedbacks like, hey, it's buggy here, it's buggy there. But we'll see how it goes in time. I'm not sure why that image is not popping up, but okay.
Oh yeah, no, I just
Um,
shared it, bringing it up while we're talking about it.
Yeah. So what's interesting is how my plan for 2022, 2023 is actually going to all happen in Q1 this year. That's the one thing that surprised me because I had plans of, Mindbank is actually much bigger than what we see here. What we're developing is not just a place for your cognition or cycles, your cognitions, let's say, but it's a data lake of the human. So we begin with the psychology, we begin with what's in your mind, but we're adding another product soon where you're going to be able to add your wearables data. So if you own a Fitbit or a Apple Watch, you'll
Hmm.
be able to have your own database of your physiology. So you have your mind and your body connected, and and then the third piece we're adding later on is the genetics. So the idea there is
Wow.
to have multimodal analysis between your mind, body, and DNA, so that you can get into predictive analytics. You can do what's called mind-body analysis. Does what you say affect your physiology? Are
Hmm.
you happier when you go running? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like we're going to start doing all of this analysis, but once we start building this data lake of the human, you'll be able to optimize yourself. It's like a Google dashboard of you, kind of, right? Like a Google Analytics of you kind of thing. And that was planned 22, 23, right, for the next 2 years. And actually, it's going to happen in like March.
Wow.
right? Like we'll have that integrated by the end of March. And then one other piece of the puzzle, which is kind of integrating, which is really cool, is there's a human side to this platform that's coming. So we'll be able to, if you want to speak to a professional psychologist or a personal
Okay.
coach,
Yep.
you can do it right through the platform. And
Nice.
and what happens is now the coach or the psychologist has a database of you. If you want to, obviously you allow access to it, right? They don't see your story, but they see a dashboard. They see the topics that you're talking about. They'll see maybe sentiment, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
very things that are non-identifiable. But it could be that the word cloud is father hate and some other words, right? So a psychologist would be, hey, would you like to talk about that, Miriam? I see that that's kind of what's occupying your mind, right?
Yeah.
And then something just I told you there was a bit of a twist to the story, and it's actually really a tragic twist, but I would call it poetic tragedy, right? So I told you about my daughter. She obviously has a mother, but tragically, last Friday, January 7th, she committed suicide,
Oh my gosh.
and she was suffering from depression and this and that, and it's been an ongoing journey, but obviously no one thought that she would do it, right? And obviously, when now that it was like it's such a the timing is crazy, and I'm launching this thing that could have helped, right? And
Yeah.
it kind of like in terms of it kills me that I didn't have it in time and but at the same time, it all happens for a reason.
Wow.
And one of the things we're doing is going to eventually put into the platform something that I call the Yana protocol, which is Yana. What's her name, by the way? Which is
Okay.
if the person is sad or something like that, and the system senses some kind of sentiment, we have to develop this, right? But I don't know the details. But I want to build something that if the system has a warning sign, you
Mm-hmm.
automatically get to talk to someone, right? It just kind of instead of talking to the app, you talk to Miriam, the psychologist. Hey, this is Miriam.
Yeah.
Would you like to have a session with me? It's free. Because one of the issues is oh, getting them in front of somebody.
Right.
That
Yeah.
that simple step. That simple step. I think once you're in the room, they'll open up, right? Or at least they're more inclined. But at the very least, the friction is gone. There's no phone number to call. There's no I need to do this. It's like throwing somebody in the deep end of the swim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's very necessary. It's extremely necessary. So
Wow.
thankfully, with the partnerships and the things we're developing and the building, I think I'm obviously this is like definitely a top priority from a development perspective for us right now.
Wow. I mean, what a powerful motivator to have that story uh, to help you
Definitely, yeah.
move towards building these features. And I think one of my questions was like, does everyone need a digital twin? And it sounds like, this technology really can be for everyone, and it can be very powerful. I'm sure that psychologists are really excited about these dashboards that you're putting together, and with mental health being top of mind with everybody. I feel like you're probably going to have a lot of success. I know we were, talking about this conversation for a while, and one of the facts that was shared by our team, which really caught my eye, was this report by Fortune Business Insights, which expects the market of digital twins to grow from USD 6.9 billion in 2021 to USD 72.35 billion by 2028. Why is it that you think that this digital twin market is worth so much money? Like, what is this?
I would say it's much more than that, to be honest with you. I'll put it in context. When I started this journey 2 years ago, when I saw a study by I forget the name of the company now. They said that it would be a transformational technology. Gartner research. They said it would be a transformational technology between 5 to 10 years. In the beginning of last year, they brought that down to 2 to 5. Right, so just like half
Accelerated.
in 1 year, yeah. And their market penetration estimate is going to be 5% of the entire world will have a digital twin, of
Wow.
some sort, right? So
Yeah.
it's why it's accelerating. I think look at humanity, right? Right now we're in a stage of fear of AI to some extent, some people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like I had a discussion once with a gentleman, and I said, it's kind of like me showing you fire in a cave. Yeah, it's scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it could burn you. It's hot. Yeah, be careful. But you know what? Let's control it. We can make fire. We can cook our food with it. You can give you life. You know, we can, smack some wolves and get them out of our faces with it. You know, it becomes a tool for our survival. And I think this is literally what's happening now with artificial intelligence and the data, right? And I think what we need to do is embrace it and become part of it. And not that you stop becoming a human, it's that you become an enhanced human. That's why I like to call it AI enhanced humanity. And if you and it really comes down to optimizing yourself, right? We do all these optimizations for marketing campaigns, and Netflix optimizes the stuff they show you based on your preferences or whatever. But let's look at it from a perspective of like, if you understood yourself better,
Yeah.
I hope to believe that you can become better, or you maybe reveal something that your own insight, we basically look at it from going from healthcare to self-care, right? And then that's enhanced and that's helped, because you can, people talk about mental health. Mental health is definitely something, but I also want to take a step back and talk about mental strength, right? If you can build
Wow.
that
Yeah.
strength and that resilience and that, then, the mental health thing is maybe not so dramatic, right? Or you're more open to a mental health professional and all these things. You build much more resilience, There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. And there's no magic bullet here, Miriam. I think it's got to be a multi-pronged approach, but at least what the digital twin does is what it's been always doing. And it visualizes a problem, right? Think about it, it started in manufacturing and architecture. I'm an architect, I'm going to build a building, I build a digital twin, and then I run simulation on an earthquake, a fire, whatever, the wind, Now we can do that. We can literally do that with the human body.
Wow.
Right. And we just need the data. But literally, the technology is there to do it for the human. It's there.
It's really quite mind-blowing, and people can get started for a ridiculously low price at this time. And you're allowing people to pay with crypto, which I thought was really cool. I was like, okay, are you? You're in the future.
We're definitely looking at crypto, and also from a perspective of like frictionless payment. There's a lot of people out there that don't have a bank account. Did you know that 4 billion people in the world do not have a bank account?
I do. Yeah, when I was in South America, I was shocked that Uber, they were like, you pay with cash. I was like, what?
Yeah.
This is
But then
wild
you've got
down
countries
here.
like Ecuador. You got countries like, I think, was it Ecuador or El Salvador? Which one? I don't remember which one. That the government takes Bitcoin now. And honestly, from a perspective of crypto, we're actually going to tokenize it eventually as well. That's part of our strategy, and it's really to then so that people can then be able to monetize on their own data, as opposed to
Perfect.
I don't know, someone else. So that's part of the story. It's also part of democratizing the whole finance game. And honestly, I'll tell you another story how that kind of started. I was watching a CNN special a few weeks back, about a month or two ago, and I saw a story about a gentleman in Africa that died because he couldn't pay the doctor $20, the equivalent of whatever, $20. And I was just like, how is it that someone doesn't have $20 to pay for a simple surgery that'll save your life, And obviously, what if this person using MindBank could use his digital twin to generate revenue? That's kind of how that conversation started, right?
Interesting.
And we're like, okay, so that's because part of our our Web3 strategy is to go decentralized and go into the blockchain. So right now the structure is we're in a traditional architecture in Azure, and that's getting duplicated into the blockchain, right? Your storage, blockchain storage for your data, and that's completely owned by you, decentralized, so you can pick it up and go somewhere else, right? We just got a grant from the Definity Foundation to do that on the Internet Computer. So if you guys don't know what the Internet Computer is, it's kind of like me telling you about a Google company 20-something years ago. Look them up. It's really, really cool technology. I think they're definitely, we did a lot of research, and we were basically, diving headfirst into the Web3 space on the Internet Computer.
Amazing.
And they're putting skin in the game, right? They're giving us a grant to help us out in this process, and it's really exciting how that's going to turn out in the next year or so.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about Web3. So I'm really excited to hear that you're into it and you're allowing people to kind of take their data and even move it somewhere else if they wanted to. It's very forward thinking. And we talked a little bit before we started the stream about your product hunt launch that's apparently upcoming, would you say?
Yeah,
So
yeah. So you guys can go on. Do you see that is the private chat actually? Can I put it into the comments or how do I do this?
yeah, let's
You
pull
could just
that up.
copy paste it, guys.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
everyone just sign up and we're gonna select a nice lucky winner who's gonna get some swag from us, guys. Nice little vest. So sign up.
Nice.
Obviously, you all will receive the beta link as well, which will be releasing in about a day or so. We should be releasing this tomorrow. And so yeah, please sign up there, and I hope you all can see it. So, and we'll definitely stay in touch that way. Or you can go on the website as well and just buy one of the lifetime memberships. Keep in mind that's the 50% off is just going to be available until the launch day, so 27th, 28th of January, and then we go to the regular price.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've gotten some traction already. People are poking at it definitely and buying, and one crypto transaction so far. But it's there. You know what I mean? It's there. I think with time, things will come.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm very excited to support this product hunt launch. Please keep me in the loop. I don't know if you know, but I'm an ambassador with Product Hunt, so we definitely want to support you, especially being part-time Miami-based founder. It's definitely in our area. You talked a lot about what is coming up for you, and I do want to acknowledge you as we're wrapping up. If anyone wants to ask a question, put it into the chat now. Make sure you do that. Paul Ross, nice to see you. Thanks for all of your great comments. We love to see it. And I'm not sure, do you know who Robert Kiyosaki is? Kiyosaki?
The writer that he wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. That one?
Oh, okay. Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Nazco Media wants to nominate this author as a global impact leader. Apparently, they
Yeah,
also liked the book.
Honestly, it's a great book. It's definitely like I quit my job after reading that book and started Passion. So I was like, it's an awesome one.
Wow, I'm gonna have to check it out. I mean, it's been mentioned to me a lot of times. I've never picked it up. Yeah, so comment in any questions that you have for Emil. What can the community do to support you as you're going along this journey?
Really, I'm looking for evangelists and just people who just share our information. Honestly, if you see anything from Mindbank, a simple share is enough. Obviously, if you want to support us with a pre-purchase, that also helps because we're raising our seed round now. So we're trying to close that up by the end of March. So if anyone listening is an investor, we're definitely raising a seed $2 million at the moment. We have about 50% of that committed. And yeah, looking for more. And obviously, this is the name of the game now, right? Growth, raise. But always keep an eye on the vision. And honestly, my measurement of success is when this product is on another planet. That's kind of how far I'm thinking, right?
Okay.
And really, this is and on the journey, we're going to help a lot of people and lift a lot, and hopefully lift humanity not only out of poverty and health problems, but also out of potentially this planet even.
Yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful vision. I love that. And I'm so happy that we met. And when you're back in South Florida, let's get together for a cafecito.
Yeah, I'll be there in March. So I'll see you in a few weeks, in about a month and a half.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Great. I'll be around. And I
Cool.
appreciate you taking time to chat with me this morning and get MindBank on more people's radar. I'm having fun playing around with it and encourage everyone to sign up. You can start creating your digital twin today. Okay. I have a little bit of early access, but sign up so that you can get access too.
Yeah, sign up. We get access really soon, guys. Seriously, by tomorrow morning, you'll have it in your inbox. So
oh my gosh,
sign it up.
crazy. Okay, good. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, look, people are chiming in the comments. People want to help promote Mind. How can people get in touch with you if they want to help promote?
Easiest is really like LinkedIn, social. We're that way. We've got people on our Instagram and LinkedIn, very very active there, and Twitter, Facebook. And if you can just send an email to Emil@mindbank.ai if you want to reach out to me directly for anything. I'm quite, if I can, I'll definitely reach out to you. But I like to make time to people because we're at that stage where I'm building my base, right? Like we call them the visionaries, right? The people who love this and say, okay, I'm in this for the 50-year vision,
Let's take it to
So hopefully,
space.
I want to be in space with you guys, exactly. So that's kind of honestly my measurement of success is that. That's when we're gonna say, all right, guys, we did something great here. And I think we're on the right way.
Brilliant. Well, thank you again, and I hope everyone who's tuning in now or later has a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.